On today's show, Cooper Flagg is officially a Dallas Maverick. We heard so much about him. I was here. Let's talk about what I saw, what we heard, and what we know about Cooper Flagg. What Nico Harrison's excited about with Cooper Flagg. We'll talk about all that and more on today's Like the Mavs.
Stop it! Stop! The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't
Your team every day.
I'm gonna get a city like that.
And welcome to Locked On to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. Join me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years, right alongside me, the Dallas destination dude, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Cooper Flagg is a Dallas Maverick.
They did it.
They did it, baby. It's finally real. He wore a Mavs hat, printing 32 jerseys at the AAC tonight.
Gotta love it.
Just a great night. You're in New York City, there in Barclays. I was at the Mavs practice facility. Nico Harrison
Sitting on the floor.
in a different room. I did sit on the floor for a couple hours there. Nico had me sit on the floor because I asked him. No,
He said no chair for you. We had very different nights. You were sitting on the floor in the Mavs practice facility. I was sitting next to Hanson Yang when he got drafted.
Very, very different setup.
Very different. Today's episode, we're going to get into the draft. We'll talk all about it and everything that I saw, witnessed, and all that. We'll talk about some of the things Cooper Flagg was asked about. We'll talk about some of the things Nico Harrison answered. Gave us some insight into what he thinks about Cooper Flagg and who he's going to definitely, absolutely play with and who he thought could potentially be traded. But that doesn't look like it's going to be the case anymore. So talk about all that and more. Let's get into all that. But let's start here, Isaac Harris. The Mavs drafting Cooper Flagg was exactly what Mavericks fans needed. It was boring. Boring. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Nothing was interesting about it. It just
boring as in nothing caught us off.
Hold on. It came and went exactly as it should have. It went through. He was the number one pick from the very beginning. As soon as they got the number one pick, there was talks about, well, should they go get Giannis? Well, should they go do this? Well, should they go, is Nico Harrison going to do this? Oh, there's the PTSD and the frustration from Mavs fans, which I completely understand. And then it came through, and he walked across that stage. He is a Dallas Maverick. There was nothing different or that changed about it, and it was boring in the absolute best way that it possibly could have been.
Yeah, still super, super excited to where it's not. That's not what you're trying to say is like, hey, it's boring, we got Cooper Flagg. But nothing unexpected happened, right? Like, everything went as planned. The draft party in American Airlines Center, to where so many fans came out to that, and it looks like it was a blast. To just the whole experience, the countdown to Cooper Flagg, gets his name announced, and then interviews and different stuff. We get to see all the stuff that was like pre-made before the social post and everything, and it just kind of set in at that point. And then, they don't have to call him the kid from Duke anymore. So
that's right. Oh man, that's the thing we gained the most from tonight.
It was kind of just this like realization at the end of the night when Nico's just sitting there saying over and over again, just referencing Cooper. You're like, dang, he really is a Dallas Maverick, and it's pretty special.
Absolutely special. And man, there were so many things. Like as I was walking through the arena beforehand, I was just kind of getting a lay of the land. I've never been here before, and so I was walking through, and guess who walked right by me?
Ooh, John Shire.
No, Oscar Robertson.
Oh my God.
And you just like, I walked by and I just was like, oh my, like literally like slow motion, my head just went, oh my gosh, as I turned around seeing the big O. And then right after that, Cooper Flagg walks right by me, and you just like feel the excitement about it. You feel what this meant to him and to his family and to his mom, who is, a college basketball player and like has helped him through so many things. And you just saw that family come together and be really excited to come to Dallas. And I think that's one of my main takeaways today is that in everything that he talked about and said, obviously he's going to say the right thing. That's always what he's going to do. I think it'll take a couple years for him to come out of his shell, if he ever does, to actually answer some questions and show us his personality a little bit more, because he did not do that tonight, which you wouldn't expect. He's very well trained and all that. But he's excited to be a Maverick. He's excited to play with these guys. He's excited to play with. He told us who was at the dinner, the pre-draft dinner. I asked him. I wanted to know who was at the pre-draft dinner, and that was the one question I got to ask him afterwards. And he said PJ Washington was there, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Najee Marshall, Max Christie, and the inevitable Dwight Powell was also there at that dinner. And he talked about how excited he was to play with those guys and to hear what they had to say and learn from them and all that kind of stuff. And it was just great to hear that he's excited to be a Maverick.
There had to be 2 other guys because Nico said 6 players took him out to dinner. So one of those
on today's show, Cooper Flagg lies to me.
Or Nico Harrison. No. But it is cool, when Nico referenced that tonight in the post-draft presser, he was talking about, and I know this is kind of a trigger word for some Mavs fans, but he was talking about the culture that's built. And he was like,
yeah,
this is, I think people underestimate the culture that is being built here, and what it shows how strong the culture is that this number 1 pick comes in, and even some of these vets that he plays the same position as, like a Najee and a PJ and stuff, they're like, hey, we want to take him out to dinner. Like, we want to get to know him. He's going to, we're excited to play with him. Nico says in the workout that Cooper Flagg had with the Mavericks when he was in Dallas, PJ Washington was at that workout. And Nico was talking to PJ about what it would be like to play with Cooper Flagg as they're both watching this workout in the facility last week. It's a cool thing. It's not just a dinner. It doesn't sound like a team thing set out. It's like these teammates set it up themselves and we want to take him out. And I think that's why you saw the dinner separate, which makes a little bit more sense too.
There's a bunch of different ways that he said he was excited about being a Dallas Maverick, but my favorite one. So this is how it all kind of worked out. He got his name called, and it is wild watching these guys get their name called because they're all sitting at these tables in the middle of the floor, and one by one, they just leave. Cooper Flagg really only sat on the draft room floor for 5 minutes. The 5 minutes that they were on the clock. It's how long he was out there. So he gets called.
McNeely, 3 hours.
He was out there literally 3.5 hours. Him and his family were sitting there. I could see him the whole time. And Cooper Flagg gets drafted. He walks up on the stage, hugs Adam Silver, then goes and does that interview quickly over there. We waited for about an hour. Then he comes back and does a press conference with a bunch of national media and local from other different places and things like that. In that media session, he was asked this question, and I want to read it verbatim because it made no sense. Somebody said, Cooper, on behalf of all the internet conspiracy theorists who couldn't be here tonight, I have to ask, there are tons of rumors floating around that the NBA gave Dallas the pick to get you in exchange for Luka Doncic. Do you have any reaction to that? Cooper Flagg, this was the first time I'd seen him pushed off his spot with a question where he just did not expect it. He had no reaction, no answer to it. He just said no and just sat there for a second, and then he said, I don't know what to say about that. He said, I have no insider information if that's what you're looking for. And then he said this, but I just feel blessed the way that it all worked out. And it's just another way that he said he's happy to be in Dallas, that he was blessed how it all worked out, because I'm with him, that I think this is the best scenario that he could have ended up with. This is the best crew that he could have ended up with under, Jason Kidd, with, championship caliber players and Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson. And there's just a lot that he can learn from this crew, and there's not going to be as much pressure on him right away.
Yeah, that's he said in one of those interviews there, with you guys in the Barclays of, hey, I want to be a sponge. That's a number 1 overall pick who has a ceiling that's crazy, a generational talent that's saying, hey, I want to be a sponge to some other guy. He doesn't have to say something like that. He's a number 1 overall pick, but he wants to learn from these vets. Nico talked about it being such a positive thing, not just for veteran leadership, but you're going into this situation, and he referenced you could even win games when you have a bad night because you have such good teammates, and this team's a win-now team and a really good team, that the wins and losses won't be so hinged on how he plays that night.
Yeah.
That there could be nights that he's going to have an off night and it's just not working, and they're not going to get beat by 30. The other guys will step up and win, and you could still find other ways to win and stuff too. So, we're both pretty positive on the fit. Other people don't view it that way because for a lot of people, they look at top draft picks and they're like, all right, top draft picks have to go to a situation to where they just get a million shots and play 40 minutes.
Well,
and that's just not always the recipe for success for players.
How about like everybody that got drafted to the Nets? Oh, great fit. That's going to be a great fit. Great fit with what? Like what do they have? What do they have to fit with? Like who are you fitting Nolan Traore with, right? Or Igor Demin? I guess with each other. Like you're fitting those guys together. But
such a great fit with Cam Thomas,
and just him specifically, and Nick Claxton, I guess. But coming up, let's talk about those intangibles because I think that's the one takeaway that we'll take from Nico Harrison's press conference is that for all the great that Cooper Flagg is as a basketball player, everyone talks about his intangibles. Why? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Wayfair. Wayfair, they got just what you need. There's nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space that's just yours. Did you have it all set up? Have it exactly what you want? The chair you want, the maybe the outdoor rug that you want, the string lights you've got, all kinds of different things. And where do you get those things? No, not right. Wayfair, that's exactly where you can get them. All kinds of great stuff. Outdoor dining sets, modern lounge chairs. They have completely transformed a bunch of people's outdoor spaces, and you can get all that stuff at wayfair.com. Also, the delivery is fast, free, and totally hassle-free. I've used it myself. Can attest that they send stuff straight to your door. You don't have to worry about if you're fitting it in your car. Don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners. We appreciate you and one of you for checking out the show and listening. We're a daily Dallas Mavericks show all throughout the summer. We will continue to do shows. So if this is your first time checking us out, thank you. Subscribe. Apple, Spotify, Himalaya app, wherever you subscribe on audio, and on YouTube, also on KFAA at 4:30 every single day. Local cable, baby. That's where we at. And all right, Isaac, we were talking about Cooper Flagg and the intangibles. One of the things that you said about Nico Harrison's press conference, you were there, is that he talked a lot about Cooper Flagg's intangibles, because that's what everybody talks about when they're around Cooper Flagg. It's not about his skills, and we ask about his skills a lot. We've talked about his basketball skills a lot, but it's the intangibles that really takes him and elevates him from a super talented player, which like an Ace Bailey is, right? They were considered very similar players, talent-wise, through a lot of their career, through high school and et cetera. And then the intangibles take you from the number one pick generational talent to fifth pick going to the Jazz, a team that you didn't work out for. You know, like that can be the difference between the two.
Now David Locke paired up with Ace Bailey. Moving forward.
Now there's a guy with some intangibles, is David Locke.
No, you know, I found that really interesting from Nico that he was asked, hey, who did you talk to in the pre-draft process that, you know, really gave you insight about Cooper and stuff? And he was like, I can't tell you, like, one person is more of a collection, because anytime you do something like that, you're doing all the background homework you could possibly do on one of those top draft picks. And, you know, he's like past coaches, the GM, because college teams have GMs now, GM of Duke, teammates, people, family, different stuff. And he was like, all of them started with the intangibles, not the skills of how good he is, because like we know that, but every single one of them wanted to talk about the off-court stuff first, how hard of a worker he is, the competitiveness, just all the intangible stuff, like you said. And I thought that was fascinating when it comes to these generational type of talents. A lot of times it is the talent that leads those conversations, but it's all the off the court stuff. And honestly, for a situation in Dallas and what Nico has kind of openly talked about with the last superstar, that stuff means a lot to him too. And, you know, he was asked about the culture fit, how does Cooper fit the culture and stuff, and him just talking about a lot of what it's like if you created in a lab what like type of prospect that you would want for like a Nico Harrison, like considering everything, you know, the context of Nico Harrison, it would be Cooper Flagg.
It really would.
So it's like if there's nobody else in the world that's happier right now than Nico Harrison when it comes to like basketball stuff, because he literally got the exact mold replica of like what he would want. And what he wants is an amazing thing. It's not like he's wanting something that doesn't fit or anything. This is ideally what you want in your star player.
I don't think that made anybody listening feel any better.
No.
That Nico Harrison is the happiest out of anybody. Like there were Fire Nico chants at the Mavs draft watch party.
Yes.
Incredible. Like just it'll live on. It's become the slogan of the whole Mavs movement basically. We were talking about intangibles and everything that Cooper Flagg brings. He was asked why he reclassified the other day and what was so important about him getting into this rookie class in the NBA. And he said a quote that his mom told him, "If you're the best in the gym, find a new gym." Incredible quote.
Freaking love that.
Incredible quote that you want from the number one player, where you could just say, "Hey, I want to go showcase my skills, show what I've got. I want to show everybody. Like I want to show that prove this, prove what I'm made of." No, it's I want to go and be a sponge, like you said. Learn from these guys. He said specifically, "I'm excited to be a sponge and learn and be surrounded by Hall of Fame caliber players." Like incredible. Like what an incredible mindset that you want your number one pick and the guy that's eventually going to lead your franchise to be like motivated by, to go find a new gym. If you're the best in the gym, find a new gym. Incredible.
I love that quote so much. Yeah, when I seen that, I was like, what just a top tier quote there. And I thought one of the other main takeaways from Nico and stuff was the style of play stuff. He referenced multiple times that you're going to see a different style of play from this Dallas Mavericks team with Cooper coming on board. And reminder, not that we've forgot, but that Anthony Davis came over in February, right? Like, I mean, it was just a handful. And then
he's on the team?
He is on the team.
The Mavericks.
So it's like now you have a chance this offseason to build this system around a Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis and stuff. But then once he like kind of threw that out there, he was asked again. I think it was Christian Clark at The Athletic. And Christian's like, can you like expand on that? Like, what is the different? How's it going to look different? And that's when he was like ball movement, a lot of ball movement, a lot of multiple ball handlers on the floor. He even referenced, he's like, the fast pace that we played at when we had like 8 players. He said you're going to see a lot more of that, finding a hot hand. If you want to tie the strings there of like maybe like, is he talking about something that's like completely opposite? You could, because we have been used to a lot of ISO ball and stuff like that because you have the best ISO player in the league. But now he's looking at it saying, hey, we don't like, we're going to play completely different. And you should, honestly, because like you got Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a different type of player than Luka and all that. So like you got to build a system that fits around those guys. So I thought that was really interesting. Right now preaching, we're going to play fast paced, a lot of ball movement, a lot of multiple ball handlers on the floor, and that's the style of play that we're going to be getting used to watching in Dallas moving forward.
Yeah, it's got to be a different style. It has to be different. Like, as soon as the Anthony Davis trade happened, I said it's got to be different because it's just a completely different team now. And I think the thing about Cooper,
I was just gonna say this, and I say that in the way of like we have been accustomed to seeing the Mavs' best player get the ball, ISO it out, spread the floor, and then it's like cross, step back. Not saying that wasn't efficient. It's just a different style. Like they don't have a player
that can do that.
Yes, don't expect as Mavs fans for them to do the same thing with Cooper as they did with Luka, of like throwing the ball to Cooper on the wing and saying all the time, or having him bring the ball down the floor all the time, and then it's like high pick and roll or ISO it out, and it's like step back Cooper and all this stuff. It won't look that way.
Or the thing that's happening right now with Paige Beckers and Wings fans is anytime Paige doesn't touch the ball for like one whole possession or 2 possessions in a row, it's why are they freezing out Paige Beckers? Why is she not getting the ball all the time? It's like, okay, you literally can't have 100% usage rate. You've got to spread it out. You've got to pass other people. And yes, that should not include like a Dejanay Carrington and a Maisha Hines-Allen, like pick and roll on the weak side when like everybody that's offensively gifted is on the other side of the court. It shouldn't happen, but sometimes it does happen.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
So, but it is going to look different. But the thing with Cooper Flagg is he can fit in any single system. Like one of the other quotes that I've talked about a lot is Cooper Flagg's dad was talking about the fit, and he goes, "Yeah, I mean they've got some good players, and my guy can plug any hole that they have," and it's like. He's right. Like he can fit in all kinds of different systems. He can do anything that you want on a basketball court. And so whatever new style they decide to do, whether it's the more ball movement or whatever, he can do those things. Jason Kidd even mentioned that he's going to handle the ball a little bit. Cooper Flagg said, Coach is going to let me handle the ball a little bit. And that's what we've been talking about all summer since the lottery happened. Coming up, let's get into another quote, multiple quotes that Nico Harrison said about PJ Washington and Cooper Flagg. What did it tell us about both those guys and the Mavs going forward? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Skims. When I found out about Skims and that they were making underwear for men, I had to figure out what it was all about. Why was everybody excited about them? Well, they sent me a pair, and I'm wearing a pair of Skims underwear right now that I bought myself because they were so great. Best underwear I've ever had, honestly. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, just finding the right style, but Skims changed all that. I tried it out. The band doesn't, turn over. It doesn't lose its shape. It's great. It's awesome. It doesn't ride up. You don't have to worry about all that. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com. Let them know that we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. So go to skims.com and do that. They also have like brick-and-mortar stores. You need to go to find them anywhere. Go check them out. I got the box of briefs. Not that you needed to know that, but they have all kinds of different styles as well. Go check that out. Skims Men's at skims.com.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac Harris, we're talking about the NBA draft. Another thing that I want to talk about with Cooper Flagg, he was doing so as soon as he leaves that main press conference where there's like 50 people and he got asked a conspiracy theory question and he got asked by somebody what's the most expensive thing he thought about buying when he got drafted, and Cooper Flagg said, I don't really like expensive things. Which is kind of funny. But he also has already had money because he got money at Duke. So I don't know. It's very different. You're like, this is not like the payday that everybody's used to it being. These guys are coming already as millionaires. But he also, so after that, he gets rushed over to this other press area. And it's just me and Mike Curtis and Eddie Sefko getting to talk to him. So we got a couple questions in. And then he gets pulled over quickly to this other media section where he does 5 local TV hits back to back to back. He does one with Mike Leslie, our guy at WFAA. He did one with Fox 4. He did one with NBC and DFW. And so he does all these back to back. And between two of them, he's waiting for the camera guy to set up. He looks up at the TV and he sees Khaman Maluach get drafted by the Rockets, and then he's going to the Suns. And he smiled from ear to ear, the biggest smile I'd seen since he actually got drafted. And he goes, man, I needed that. And like, you just love like how supportive he is of his teammates and that he just was very excited. He talked about Con Knipple a lot too, who was his roommate at Duke, and how he's excited that he went top 5 too. Like, it was just awesome to see him excited about others too, which is a trait that I really love in Paige Beckers that I think Cooper Flagg has as well.
I mean, you look at even the rest of the guys who played at Montverde. He was talking on set with Billis and them about. They asked him like who he's excited to go against, in particular in summer league and stuff. And he's like, well, I got Derek because he played in high school with Derek Queen, and then Liam McNeely, which is one of his good friends.
Yeah. And
I thought it was interesting, or it was cool that when Liam McNeely was interviewed post getting drafted, pick 29 to Charlotte. He started crying, talking about. He's like, "Those are my brothers." Like, yeah, and it could have just been more of but like, I mean, he started crying, talking about his brothers there from Montverde and Cooper and Derek and Asa Newell and stuff. So it's just cool seeing so many like relationships there, and it's the common theme. Everybody freaking loves Cooper.
Yeah,
like, he is like the most likable dude. I mean.
Well, what was the quote from Nico about Najee Harris and jealousy, or like or was it PJ and jealousy?
Well, he was just saying it's not a jealous thing. Like, it's
because he's so likable. Like,
yeah, and the fact that he referenced. I thought this was one of the takeaways too, because there's been a lot of talk on like where's Cooper going to play.
Yeah,
you have Anthony Davis locked into that 4 spot. Cooper's kind of like a natural 4, but then you have PJ on this expiring contract and stuff. So like, what's going to happen with that? And then Kidd throws out the 2-guard thing. So we're like, are they really going to play these 4 bigs? And he referenced multiple times of him and PJ being on the wing. And he specifically said him and PJ on the wing together. So however you want to classify one of them as at the 2 or whatever it is, but like, and then PJ in the practice facility stuff we talked about earlier, like PJ was just commonly, if you were in the camp of like, hey, they might trade PJ or they might, you don't think that they would fit or something. That's not how Dallas is viewing it. he made it very clear that it's like, man, I'm like excited to see those two guys play together. So, yeah, that part's pretty cool, and we'll see what happens with like a PJ extension or something like that.
The fact that he mentioned it multiple times to me stands out, that he is considering him in his future and present plans for the team and for the Mavericks.
And PJ was at the dinner.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
PJ was at the dinner. Nico mentioned him several times, and like I want that. Like PJ is great. Like, and you don't replace a PJ Washington type player that easily in the NBA anymore. There's so many teams that are looking for that and trying to find a player like that, and you just don't come in and replace him that quickly. He can play like the AD, Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, and whoever else lineups are going to be awesome.
And I just want to point out too that, like, I mean, what a good sport, like, cool thing for PJ. Like,
yeah,
this guy had the potential of costing PJ a ton of money, and we'll see what the next contract is and stuff. But like, if they don't move up to number 1, or they move up to 2 or 3, and they get Dylan Harper or somebody else, or they stayed at 11, like, PJ is locked in at that 3 spot, and they're having to dish out a ton of money to him after having good years in Dallas. So, like, I could kind of understand if he was like, dang, like, we just got a generational talent at my position, and I might be expendable. Like, what's the chance of this new team paying me the same amount of money? Or what's the chance of Dallas paying me the same amount of money now? Do they view me the same? And the fact that it feels like he's been a champ since day one of, I mean, wanting to take him out to dinner and talking with Nico, being there at his workout when he came to town.
Yeah, both.
And talking with Nico about, like, playing together and stuff and all that. Like, what a professional thing from PJ.
Leadership, right? And he's been posting about all these guys.
Culture.
That's right. He posted about Kyrie. He posted about Gafford. He posted about Cooper Flagg. Like, he's been leader, culture guy for the Mavericks. He's really stepped up in that way, and I'm excited to see where that goes forward, and to see his next contract for sure, because we'll see if they decide to get that done as well. I want to talk about one more thing for sure before we end here.
One more thing, yeah.
At least one more thing, maybe more. He got a shout out from Paige Beckers, who was at the watch party. Shout out. He got a video shout out from Anthony Davis, which was awesome to see that and to see Anthony Davis give him. And then there's a video tribute before the draft happened, I guess, and Anthony Davis was narrating it, talking about being the number 1 pick and stuff like that, which was awesome. He also got a shout out that was incredibly important to me and probably to a lot of you too. He got a shout out video from Dirk. It's the first time that Dirk has acknowledged the first round, the number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg, or honestly, like, the Mavs since all the trade stuff happened. And to not have Dirk, like, talk about the Mavs or even tweet or, like, be excited or post or anything like that was awful. Like, it like hurt me. It hurt me to see Dirk not be part of this franchise, because, like, think about how bad a move would have to be and how bad the relationship would have to be for that guy with the statue outside of the building to not want to interact with or talk about the Dallas Mavericks that much. And to see him do that video, it's a very small thing, but to me, it stood out a lot, and I was happy that he sent that video and is still, like, there for Cooper Flagg. And Dirk, I just help him with his mid-range. Can you just, like, work out with him a little bit and, like, help him with that? Because, like, if he gets anywhere close to your mid-range, like, it's just, that's next level.
No, yeah, it was super cool to see that. Obviously, things are not the same between Dirk and the Mavs.
They're not.
And they haven't been for a little bit. So to see that was a cool thing for the fans. I think more than anything, I'm sure that he will reach out on his own and stuff with Cooper. Might not be through the team and stuff. Even some of the welcome stuff. The video from Dirk, it was welcoming him to the city. It was welcoming him to the most passionate fans, the best fans. It was that which he can speak highly about, right? And so anyway, yeah, that was a cool moment for fans to see that.
There's so much else we could get into. So much stuff about the draft. Ace Bailey went to Utah. He declined the workout with them. I don't know that he wanted to go there from people I talked to today. What are the Pelicans doing? There's so many questions about so many different. What did the Nets do? The Nets drafted 3 point guards.
I don't mind what the Nets are doing. Like, they got to swing for stuff. Just keeping it Mavs related. So second round's obviously on Thursday night. And there's so many different picks. You've seen so many different picks change hands in the first rounds, moving around and stuff. I think you're going to see that in the 30s on night 2. And there's a couple guys still. I mean, there's some. None of the big guards have fell. You've seen different guys fall, but Rasheer Fleming is still on the board, and he's one of my favorite guys. All right, he should have been a top 20 pick. But if they move in, what?
Or the Duke guy, Tyrese Proctor.
Yeah, Tyrese Proctor is more of a second-round pick. There's some guards in there, Cam Jones, whatever. But that's what I'm looking at those picks in the 30s. Is this something that Dallas looks in and says, "Hey, let's reset the OMAX. Let's reset the OMAX spot on the roster, and swap him out even if it's another wing and it's a OMAX for a Rasheer Fleming type of thing or another guy." I wouldn't necessarily at this point. I wouldn't necessarily say it's for sure going to be a guard. I think it's a best player available type of thing. So, anyway, that's just something I'd be watching Dallas with the picks in the 30s.
And with the 38th pick, the Dallas Mavericks will select another power forward.
What is it? Toronto?
Can you imagine? Toronto pick. Who'd they pick? Murray Boyles.
It's
Murray Boyles.
Go play with Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes. What?
Murray Boyles stands up from his draft seat and you can see him say the F word. And I don't know if he was relieved that it happened or if he was like, "Dang, I'm going to Toronto."
Ace Bailey's like, "Hey, you got to hold that in a little bit better."
There you go. We'll have more shows. There's so much more from the Nico Harrison press conference. We want to sit down and go through all the quotes and actually go through it. And so we'll do more shows on that. Nico will talk on Friday as well to local media, and they'll be at Cooper Flagg's introductory press conference, and so we'll be there as well, and we'll do a show after that. And so we'll have all kinds of stuff here. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Subscribe. Our text line, 214-643-8637. Great stuff from there all the time. We'll send you every single rumor right to your phone. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.